All right, we've just brought the meeting to order and the roll has been called. Ernie, you've been noted as attending. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move into today's agenda. First, considering the approval of the May 1st Finance and Audit Committee meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Please call the roll. Yes.
Vice Chair Miller,
Yes.
Director Camacho,
Yes.
Director Gilmetti.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is the audit report from our Chief Auditor, Ms. Polly Rivera. Good morning, Polly. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Paula Rivera, I'm Chief Auditor for the Authority. And today I have 4 things to brief you on: 2 audit reports, and the audit plan, and the results of our internal quality assurance self-assessment. The first audit report is on design build contract change orders. We took a look at the process that the authority uses to oversee and process change orders. A little bit of background. The authority has written procedures and a manual for guidance on the change order process. The process begins with the identification of a change, then the submittal of a change order proposal from the design build contractor, negotiation of the change, and then execution of the change order. The change goes through the project and construction management consultant team and various authority committees for review, validation, and/or approval, depending on the value and the impact of the change program-wide. Changes that are greater than 1 million go to the Change Control Committee, and changes greater than 20 million go to the Business Oversight Committee. The Change Control Committee, which was re-implemented in 2021, provides a level of monitoring at a lower threshold amount than previous. The change order process includes, with the Change Control Committee, has 3 key processes. There's a merit assessment, there's an independent cost analysis of a change order proposal, and then there's a negotiation discussion. Each of those is a step where the Change Control Committee is involved. In August of last year, we issued an interim preliminary memo based on some things that we learned during our interviews and our internal control review work of some processes that we felt needed improvement. And then we moved on to our testing of specific change orders. And we found that based on the interviews, we found no additional things during our testing that warranted identification. Just to give a little bit of context, outside of our audit period, the delegation for authority for change orders was changed in October 2024. Currently, change orders of all amounts are reviewed, and then the subcommittee that reviews change orders provides a second look after the Change Control Committee's review of those 3 key phases. The objectives of our audit were to determine compliance with the authority's change order processes, policies, procedures, design build contracts, and alignment to best practices. Our audit found that there were documented processes and policies in place, and the design build contractors and oversight consultants generally complied with the authority's change order process. The personnel involved in the field level operations have extensive knowledge of change orders for the respective construction package and have an impact on the executed value of the change orders. From our testing, there was an average reduction of approximately 23% from the proposed to the executed change order across all 3 construction packages. The Audit Office acknowledges the process improvement efforts by the Change Control Committee and the Assisting Program Controls Office, as lessons learned are used to plan standardization and efficiency efforts. This includes recent adoption of changes to the processes and actively pursuing the approval of revised charter and procedures. So we've reported one issue and two observations. The issue is that the change order process is missing continuity between procedures, policies, and practices. Some of that is due to the practices evolving as the situation changes. As we bring new people in, as more people are involved in the oversight process, the written procedures have lagged, but we didn't find any inconsistency in how the practices were applied. So we just recommend kind of an overall review of the written procedures, the written policies, to sync up with the current practices. And, excuse me, our first observation was that key performance indicators are unmonitored and unenforced. Key performance indicators were established related to the timeliness of the review of the change order committee, and those are not consistently tracked, and there's no adverse effect for not meeting those key performance indicators. Our second observation is the change order process is disjointed in comparison to best practices. This audit was requested by Bill Casey, and he suggested that one of the objectives was to compare our process to the process at Caltrans, and they have a rigorous, well-defined process. And so when we looked at the process the authority has, it is not as well-defined. Some of the tracking of specific time periods and touch points for each change order has been left up to the individual construction packages. So we recommend some uniformity. Are there any questions about the change order audit?
Thank you so much for this. And I want to also thank you for allowing management and consultants to respond and then including that in the summary and in your report. I really appreciate you doing that. So thank you.
Go ahead, Paula.
Okay, the next report I have is a pre-award that we perform. We perform pre-awards for contracts that are awarded based on a request for qualifications process, where price is not the determination of the most qualified team. This was a contract for, hold on, sorry. For property management environmental services between the authority and Sappho's Environmental. So what we do is once the most qualified team is identified, a cost proposal or a rate sheet is submitted, and we look at the individual elements of cost that are identified. We look at payroll rates, we look at indirect rates, we look to see that the fee proposed is in accordance with the federal regulations and the request for qualifications document, and we also look to see that any other direct costs comply with the contract provisions. We reviewed Sappho's and two sub-consultants on this, and we found some things to be adjusted, but we didn't find anything that was egregious or that was anything more than a little bit of cleanup to the process. Next, I bring to you the audit plan that we're proposing for fiscal year 25-26. The audit plan includes a civil works certification audit. The audit's complete. We're in the process of working to issue the draft report, and then once we receive a response, we will issue a final report. We have our pre-awards are based on the authority's procurement plan. And we estimate that there will be 4 pre-awards this year. And those take priority over our other assignments because the pre-award is performed concurrent with the discussions with the most qualified team. And so we stop what we're doing, we spend about 3 weeks, we do a pre-award, and then we go back to our audit work so that the contract can be executed. We have 4 incurred cost compliance audits. These audits are performed to evaluate contractor or consultant compliance with the contracts. We're auditing the federal funds that have been spent. We have 2 one that's complete. We've issued a draft. We're waiting for a final response from the consultant. We have 1 that we're winding up audit work next week. And then in probably September, we will begin an audit of the contract for environmental document services between Burbank and Anaheim. In the spring, we will audit the contract for the environmental document between Palmdale and Burbank. The next thing on our audit is on our audit plan is related to time-related overhead. Construction consultants are entitled to overhead for time-related delays, and that's an expertise that the audit office doesn't have right now. So we're going to spend some time, do some research, find some trainings, work with Caltrans, speak to the people who are currently involved in the process to gain an understanding of calculation and application of time-related overhead. And then we leave a little bit of time in our audit plan for special requests.
Did we have these resources before, Paula, and we've lost them, or this is all new?
We've never had those resources. It's an area that when we did our risk assessment, there were requests that we take a look at this process. And in order to do that, we need to gain some expertise.
Okay.
Tom,
Yes.
a real quick question. Talking about the time delay, we're in the process, as I understand it, of auditing or at least negotiating time delays on CP 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4. Are you not involved at all with those?
Not in the current process.
Those are substantial changes, cardinal changes from my perspective, just because of the amount. And maybe this should be directed maybe to Ian. At what point do those come to the board?
Okay, I think that in terms of those changes, Ernie, they have to come to the board before the final agreement between ourselves and the contractors.
Very good, thank you.
Go ahead, Paula.
Okay. The last thing that I bring today is our internal quality assurance and improvement program assessment. The audit standards require that we develop an internal quality assurance program. And they also require that each year we evaluate our own process. Every 3rd year, we're required to have an external peer review. So we have an audit manual that's based on the audit standards, and we select a number of assignments that we've completed in the year, and auditors who weren't on the audit will go through and evaluate whether or not our documentation meets the standards that we've set for ourselves. And so this year we looked at 4 assignments, and the auditors found that we generally complied with our processes. There were 2 situations where We didn't have complete documentation. One was for the audit that we brought to you in January, the TY Lin incurred cost audit. That audit lasted 2 years, and we had some staff that worked on other projects, and then we brought in some other staff for primarily for expertise. And we neglected to document that they were independent. We have an annual independence statement that we sign, but we also have one per assignment. And in this case, we didn't have that documentation. In the other case where they found that we hadn't complied, the audit standards require that we document whether or not the entity under audit has any current legal proceedings. And we asked the question, but we didn't have a consistent framework for how that was documented. So we've updated our audit work papers, and we've updated our review processes to ensure that we're asking the question consistently and we're documenting the answer consistently. So those two issues that were found, we've addressed through changes in procedures.
So, Paula, on previous reviews, what sort of comments, did we ever get these sort of comments before?
Yes,
We did?
we often find areas where we have done the work, but our documentation doesn't meet the standards that we've set for ourselves. But the incidents have never been pervasive, and they've never affected the results of our audit. We just need to be better at the end of our audits and in ensuring that we have documented all the work performed. We'll have an external peer review in the spring, which will be an outside look from other auditors at other state agencies, similar to past ones every 3 years. They'll contact you. In this case, this year, they'll contact Mr. Chaudhry. And it's a very broad look at all of the work that we will have done over the last 3 years.
Sure, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, is that part of our audit manual that we require an audit of our auditors? Or is that a legal requirement?
It's a legal requirement.
Okay,
I don't
that's
remember
fine.
the government code off the top of my head.
That's
but
fine.
The government code requires that internal departments who have an audit office follow audit standards.
Okay,
And the audit standards require
Require
this
that.
external peer review.
thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? Any
Yeah,
questions?
yeah,
Ye-
Tom, I
ye-
have
Yes,
one
go,
more.
go ahead, Ernie.
I have a follow-up question on the change orders. Now, when they come to the board, is that for approval or is that just for advice?
The change orders are actually different types of categories. Some are for approval, some are for information. It's really depends on what is the type of contract that we are talking about and what's the value.
Yeah.
Well, the kind of contract that we're talking about is the CP 123, which is a design build contract. So are we just being notified after the fact, after you've negotiated something? So the board may just approve them after you've negotiated. So at what point is there a change?
Yeah. So, Arnie, like I said, is like there are some change orders for design build contracts that is exceeding certain value. Always comes to the board for approval. Others that we are working almost like work in progress where we are negotiating, they submit their proposal. We go through a internal process to establish what is the real value and the scope of work that they are asking to change for. We do negotiate then and we bring it to the board for approval if the dollar value is within the limits that requires board approval.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If the dollar value is exceeding the amount that requires the board approval, we always do bring to the board.
What is your understanding of the limit?
Director Camacho, this is Tom Valenz. It's
Yes.
$100 million, $100
I'm sorry?
million.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other excuse me, any other questions for Paula? Thank you, Ernie.
You.
Okay, thank you. Item 3 today, ladies and gentlemen, is a report on our financial condition from our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Metalka. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, good morning, Chairman Richards, Vice Chair Miller, Directors Camacho and Gilmetti. My name is Jamie Metalka, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Authority. Today, I'll be covering the July 2025 Financial Reports Executive Summary, that's data through May 2025, and updating the committee on developments impacting the Authority's operational budget from the final enactment of the fiscal year 25-26 state budget. Starting with that, back in January, the governor's fiscal year budget proposed and included both authority budget change proposals and austerity measures to balance the budget. During the legislative process over the last few months, an agreement was reached between the administration and the legislature, and there are 4 key changes to the authority's operations budget to update the committee on. The first is 13 new positions for implementing the NEPA assignment MOU that we executed with the Federal Railroad Administration. Under this agreement, the authority serves as the lead agency for compliance with NEPA and other federal environmental laws. The compliance assignment covers new review and approval responsibilities for local projects directly connected to the high-speed rail system, including stations. To date, the authority is aware of 8 local projects that will be applying for the authority for inclusion in the NEPA assignment program. The second item is 8 new positions over 2 years for our Information Technology Office. This will help to design frameworks and identify these standards essential for implementation, integration, and security of the technology required to support train operations. The third item actually is a pause on the austerity measures for now, on the reductions in positions and operating expenses that were proposed back in January. They can come back up in mid-year if the budget and revenue updates deem it needed to happen. The Department of Finance will inform departments on whether or not those measures will be triggered. And our cut in that proposal was 6 positions. So we'll be holding on to those 6 positions in the event that we do take the cut in the mid-year. And lastly, the fourth item, $113,000 in reimbursement authority to support our high-speed rail Office of Inspector General with administrative needs. Okay, that covers sort of the high level of the budget.
What was that again, the number?
Yes, on the last item.
Mhm.
So we provide support to our high-speed, to Ben and his team, our high-speed rail Office of Inspector General, for administrative things that they might need, for HR, administrative facilities, things like that. And so if we do provide services or have staff time, we get reimbursed up to $113,000 from that office because it
I
is a
see.
separate budget.
And have there been those sorts of things that we've been reimbursed for?
I don't actually have exactly how much. This is a new item that will
Oh,
go into
okay.
the budget starting July 1st.
Mhm.
So not yet, although
Okay,
we will be helping if they do need it.
okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, starting on page 2 of our financial reports. We can pull that up. Thank you. We continue our timely payment of invoices with no late payments for the reporting period. For our dispute summary, we are up about 49 million from the last reporting period, again, primarily due to continued disputes with one contractor. However, I am happy to announce that we did resolve about $53 million worth of disputes over the last few weeks with the same contractor, which will be reflected in the next reporting cycle. The cash management report at the bottom half of the slide reflects the fact that we have about 4.2 billion in funds, comprised of 331 million in Proposition 1A bond funds, 3.8 billion in cap and trade funds, and 13 million in our property management fund. The balance does not include the May 2025 cap and trade auction, where an additional $149 million will come in, will receive once the State Controller's Office executes the journal entries and executive orders.
Jamie, how does that, is that a normal cap and trade auction?
That's a low cap and trade auction.
It seemed low.
It is. Our base assumption is about 250 million per auction. It brings up a good point, Director Gilmetti, as to why, our CEO is out there trying to establish a floor for our funding sources. When you take into consideration this auction and the last three, it looks like we'll be at about $730 million versus our planning assumption, which is $1 billion.
Is there a trend there? Is this going to continue?
Well, we do believe that with the negotiations that have bolstered the cap and trade program in this last cycle, that we will see an uptick in allowance purchases. We did notice in last week's market that the prices of allowances went up about 10%. So we won't know until the market rebounds and the legislation is solidified between the administration and the legislature on what's going to happen with that program over the long term.
Are the refineries buying most of these cap and trade?
They are one of the largest.
So we're going to have
purchasers.
2 refineries leave the state, in the next few years, Valero and Phillips. Is that going to have a major effect on cap and trade money for us?
Well, the projections are that it would definitely have an impact if they are to leave the state, although I did see some communications from our administration that they're looking into ways to maintain them here or maintain some functioning of our refineries in state. So it's just a wait and see. In addition, as prices do increase for the allowances, the value of what comes into the account increases. So we won't know until we actually see an auction result.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's go to the next slide. For the administrative, yes,
So
sir.
there, what's the reversal on your notes on the bottom of, what's the reversal of 156,000? I know it's not a lot on interest earned. Did we get the interest earned and then it goes elsewhere? Is that what that meant?
Yeah. So we don't actually get to receive, so the interest is earned, but it actually goes back out to pay down or defer the cost of issuance on the bond. So unfortunately, we don't get to keep that money, unfortunately, the way it's set up.
Okay. And the expenditure corrections, what was that one, or the reversal?
Yeah, things like that do occur from now and then, where we might have paid with Proposition 1A funds or cap and trade funds, and then we reverse the fund source depending on what we're trying to achieve with maintaining our fund balances.
So then in terms of expenses, it's a net zero. It just
Yeah,
went from
compared as an overall.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, for our administrative or operations budget and expenditure report, our expenditures are at 70% of the budget through 92% of the fiscal year. Primarily, the less use of funds is due to staff vacancies and lower operational expenses. While the vacancy rate stands at 24%, we have filled a net total of 17 positions over the past 12 months, and we continue progressing on bringing that down further. In fact, today at the full board, there'll be an introduction of new team members that have joined just recently that are not reflected in our data, but will be reflected next month. Can we go to the next slide? For our capital outlay report, our expenditures for the period were approximately 128 million, bringing our year-to-date total up to 1.3 billion in capital expenditures, again through 92% of the fiscal year. The primary driver behind our expenditure total for the month is the CPs, with CP1 progressing 7 structures and CP23 progressing 13 structures month over month. At the bottom half of the page is our breakout table. Here's where we provide a summary of the expenditures by by category for the month and year to date. If we can go to the next slide. For our total project expenditures report summary, again, on this report, we highlight expenditures to date by funding source and total funding by source. The pie chart at the top displays our expenditures to date. And as you can see, 82% has been borne by the state, as 18% has been federal funds. At the bottom of the slide, we show our funding sources, the amounts provided by those sources, and the percentage of how that pertains to the total. Currently, the funding for the project is 77% from the state and 23% from federal sources. And we will adjust this as time goes and new funding is identified for the program. Okay, on the next slide. On our federal funds and state match liability report, providing updates each month on our drawdowns of federally awarded grants and the associated state match. The only change to report for this reporting cycle is that we did receive $102,000 in federal reimbursements for the Merced Extension Design Project under the RAISE grant. So the good news is we are receiving reimbursement for our expenses during this time.
Jamie, just quickly given the current relationship with the federal government, are these grants included in well, I don't want to call them clawback, but
Compliance review.
thank you.
Yes, there are 2 of them. It would be the FY10 grant, the 928.6 million, the second line,
Yes, of course.
and then the FSP grant, the Federal State Partnership, which is about 3 billion.
All right, thank you.
Uh,
And we expect to receive the other monies?
As far as today is concerned, we are progressing the project, submitting our packages for reimbursement, and as you can see, we actually got some back as we submit them.
Okay. You're monitoring that, right?
Every day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and there will be an update, I think, in the full board in our CEO report on our response to the
Okay.
compliance review. Okay, our contracts and expenditure report on the next slide reflects a net reduction of 1 contract, dropping off our active contract list. So we're now at 197 contracts with a total value of 12.6 billion. At the bottom half of the slide, we provide an update on our KPIs for our small business goals. We continue to trend slightly below target for our overall small business goal, but slightly above target for our disadvantaged business and disabled veteran business goals. The good news is we are now at 932 small businesses actively working on the project, which includes 327 DBEs and 116 DVBEs. On our next slide, we provide an update, as we do every month, on contingency usage. This reflects 10 change orders executed during the reporting period for a total of 15.2 million. A remaining contingency balance of nearly 1.5 billion. The majority of this amount was for 1 change order in construction package 1 for a change order at Monterey Street in City of Fresno for direct construction costs resulting from conflicts with existing water and sewer utilities that were not considered in the original contract.
So in other words, that's a change in scope?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay, so that brings us to the end, and normally we have a look-ahead report. However, because the board meeting is so early in the month, and we were able to bring in May data, which is basically 40 days old, so it's fairly fresh for us to process that fast. We were able to reduce our internal timelines by a full week to bring this data to the committee. We don't have a look-ahead for today. So if there are any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Metalka? Jamie, thank you.
Thank you.
Central Valley update, Gary, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Good
Mr.
morning,
Walker.
members of the board. Slides, please. Okay, my name is Dr. Gary Walker and I'm the Executive Program Director. Just going to go through the Central Valley Status Report for the F&A Committee. Some highlights here in the total expenditures for May. In total was 62 million. This was down from the previous period. Was influenced by one of the main balancing orders of some 33 million. So that reflected on construction package 1 at 41.6 million and construction package 2-3 at 20.4. Change orders 8, as mentioned, at 13.3 million, which Jamie made reference to in terms of the water and sewage works. Also a support for the UPRR track works and differing some site conditions on CP1. Risk contingency is at 7.1%, which is slightly down at 0.2 from the last report. The construction labor overall is an increase of 29 workers on the previous period. And on construction progress on structures, we stand at 54 complete, at 59% overall. 30 are underway, with 8 not started. This is 2 structures open to traffic in May 25. Guideways are at 70 at 59%. As you can see, we've got 27 underway, 22 not started, and 1 mile completed and 1 mile started in May 25. Next slide, please. Okay. So under utility relocation status, I'd like to report that we are at total 1,826, a total of 14 utilities relocated in May 25. Under the real estate rights of way, we are up 0.2% from the last period at 99.3% at 2,275 parcels. Under parcels delivery to design and builder, it's 1 parcel completed in May 25, and railroad parcels delivered to date stands at 163, compared to an estimated 176 in total, which is no change. 0 railroad parcels needed for construction were delivered in May. On Railhead, overall, the project is proceeding efficiently and expected to be substantially complete in September 2025. Next slide, please. Under the Plan and Engineering Office Schedule Notice of Determination section, under Los Angeles and Anaheim, we want to report that the final ERR and EIS is anticipated in late December 25. Under the post-record and decision for Plan Engineering, we're looking at Merced and Madeira with South segment approved in April 2025, and the Y segment delivered in April 11, 2025, and expected approval in July 2025. Next slide, please. Drilling down into a bit more detail on the CP14 design and build expenditures. On the comparison notes on previous period to this period, which stands at 62 million. This is where we get the adjusted carry forward a balancing change order for CP1 of 33 million. which equates to just an underspend of 13% on period. And actually on CP 23, which we were down, but this was on 17 million overall, with an NCR withholding of 1 million for environmental. There was dispute with still subs in withholding of 5 million, and the award on Lakeland and Alpar Bridge at 11 million, as opposed to planned forecast of 21 million on the period. Next slide, please. On construction labor, we had a reduction of 291 FTEs on the period. As you can see from what was down from May and 25 in April. Next slide, please. Overall, on the construction progress for structures, we've had an increase of 2 completed on CP1 from 52 to 54. 2 structures in CP1 include Central Avenue and Belmont Avenue, which opened to traffic in May 25. Next slide, please. On construction progress for guideways, we remain an increase of 1 guideway completed for CP23 from 37 to 38. Next slide, please. On overall CP14 construction, on the out of end target, 66, we're on target to complete 66 structures by the end of 25 and 90 structures by the end of this year, 2025, for guideways. Next slide, please. Okay, as we look for, we're going forward into 2026, on target to complete 92 structures and what is 119 guideways completed by December 26 for CP14. Next slide, please. On utility relocations, there's 14 completed overall, which is 5 for CP1 and 9 for CP23. Next slide, please. On the utility relocation summaries, we have electric moved on 4, broken down with telecoms on 2, and on water on 8. Next slide, please. On right of way, there's been a movement of 1 to 2,275. Next slide, please. On right of way for railroads, we remain at 13, which is no change since last period. And on the earned value for CP1, we stand at the scheduled performance index at 94%, which is slightly behind at 5%. But actually, over the late critical curve, we are 4 months ahead of where we can become on target to complete on December 2026. And the last railhead slide. Next slide. Thank you. We want to introduce a bit more in terms of, as the program progresses, we have a railhead overview for you, which to date has a 13.865 million expenditure, which is 25% complete. Highlight and milestones is the civil works for the railhead has been completed. Track and signal installations are underway. East and west turnouts are successfully installed, and the siding and yard track placements is in progress. And we are working with BNSF on the facility site work. And you'll hear more about that in the board papers. So that's the overview on the
Gary, all that
construction
work is
project.
being done by BNSF, is that correct?
I'm sorry, sir.
Is all the work then on the railhead being done by BNSF? Or
Yes.
who's doing it? BNSF is doing it all.
Yes,
Okay,
overseeing.
thank you.
Any
So-
questions?
Yeah, Gary, do I take it then we're laying rail on CP4?
Not yet, no. CP4 is projected to commence around about April of 26.
To start laying rail?
Start laying rail on the
Yeah.
main line from CP4.
You know, you give us a lot of detailed information here, but the biggest thing I'm concerned about is keeping schedule on these things. And there's no real summary here that tells me where we are on schedule and where we are on budget. But there's a lot of information,
Yeah.
thank you, but
We are
I'd
we
like
are
to
putting
see-
this together.
I'd like to see some sort of a form where we can quickly look and see whether we're on schedule for the various construction projects we're doing.
Yes, we are working as a team to put that together, and it will come out with a per report, which will be later on this month. But I can actually advise that some key dates, which was an action from the previous minutes that we took, there was track and OCS is scheduled to commence in April of 26, and also the light maintenance facility the same month. And we are commencing stations in April of 27. There'll be a much greater breakdown in the report from next period.
Any other questions for Mr. Walker? Gary, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And ladies and gentlemen, that completes the agenda for today's,
Chairman, we
Sorry.
have public comment.
oh, we do have comments. Thank you. Have they been waiting the entire meeting?
Just a little bit.
I apologize for that. Okay, please go ahead. We're
Thank-
fine, thanks, Gary. Go ahead, Alice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Before we begin public comment for the California High-Speed Rail Finance and Audit Committee meeting, I would like to review some important information. For members of the public who have joined us in person and wish to provide public comment, you will be called on in the order we received your card. If you are joining the meeting via Zoom and wish to provide public comment, please use the raise your hand feature located at the bottom of the app. If you are dialing in by phone, pressing the number 2 will raise your hand and put you into the queue. Speakers will be called on in the order that their hands were raised. Once you're in the queue and your name is called, please check the prompt on your screen to allow your microphone to be unmuted. If you're joining by phone, we will call on you by the last 4 digits of your phone number, and at that point, you will hear a message that your phone is being unmuted. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to speak. I will remind you when you have 15 seconds remaining. When it is your turn to speak, please slowly and clearly say your name, and if applicable, please state the organization you are representing. We have one on Zoom. Roland.
Good morning, Roland. Is he showing still on? Yeah. Roland?
Your microphone has been unmuted.
Can we go on and then we'll come back to Roland?
That's the only one.
That's the only one. Okay. Roland? Do we have his phone number or something?
I'm sure we can contact him.
Yeah, can we just call him, and I'm sure he'll call in for the board meeting and we'll take his comment then.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
That concludes.
All right, again, I apologize for not getting that done at the outset of today's meeting. With that, though, that is the completion of the agenda for the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. We'll be starting our board meeting at 9:30 this morning, and we invite you to join us with that. The Finance and Audit Committee meeting is adjourned.